Welcome to Hot, Holy, and Healed, stories of authenticity, sensuality, and spiritual growth. I'm Dorothy Diana, nurse, yogi, sexual educator, and somatic feminine movement guide. In this space, we explore the powerful intersection of sexuality and spirituality through real-life stories and candid discussions with successful, happy people who continue to move into their best lives. Together, we'll uncover how shedding old messages of shame and negativity can unlock personal power, and opening into true, unapologetic authenticity creates deeper connections and lasting change. We'll talk about masculine and feminine energy and how aligning with these builds better relationships and chemistry. We'll talk about the reality of dating and developing connection, both physical and spiritual. The conversations we have here are raw, uncensored, and at times explicit. We hold space for honest dialogue about topics like sex, relationships, and healing, subjects that can be deeply personal and, for some, challenging to hear. So pull up a seat, take a deep breath, and join me as we step into this transformational journey. Your next chapter begins here. Welcome to the podcast. Today I'm sitting with Tommy Debo, but that's not your full last name, is it?
That's not my full last name, no.
You don't have to share it.
Just for my special friends. That's it. Debernado is my last name.
Debernado.
My real last name.
Yeah, but everyone calls you Tommy Debo.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Tommy is a prize fighter. Well, let me let you introduce yourself because you have a rich background.
Sure, yeah, you got it.
So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, name's Tommy Debo, by trade, everybody Debernado. Originally from New Jersey, now live here in Mooresville, North Carolina. Good old South, I like the area. I came up as a fighter. Yep, I was a professional fighter for 12 years. I did that for probably most of my late teens and 20s. Then moved here, permanently stayed here. Got into the fitness game a little bit, and now I own part of a studio called Rockbox Fitness.
I love the studio, and so one of the reasons I really wanted to interview you because, first of all, this is probably the best workout I've ever had. It is full body, it's amazing. As a very feminine person, this is really great for me because I would say it has a very masculine energy, the kickboxing. But more than that, you're such an amazing coach and such an amazing trainer.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And so encouraging. Your music's so good. And then the more I got to know you, the more I realized that the reason you show up with such great presence and energy and such a helpful heart is because you have such a rich background. And it's not just the challenge of being a fighter, but you also had some challenges in your childhood.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's my kind of people, and that's who I like to interview. So, did you want to talk about that at all? Like your background, how did your early life experiences
so my early experiences and how they created the stepping stones along the journey?
How did the early experiences that might have been challenging?
So grew up in a good family. Mom and pop, are the typical what we would call American Joes. I have two younger brothers, so my pop worked a lot. Mom did much of the raising, right? But everything was good. We moved here. My dad got a job transfer, I want to say right when I was about 10, 12 years old.
To North Carolina?
Yeah, to North Carolina.
Jersey.
To moved up here. We were actually in Pennsylvania before, believe it or not. We lived in the Poconos for a little bit.
Okay.
And then ended up here. Dad, I don't know what his deal was with that. He likes the mountains or whatever.
That's beautiful.
But then we ended up here, and then we got into wrestling. So we were a wrestling family. So we started wrestling really, really young. I have two younger brothers. They're straight animals too. It was something that my mom would do. Like my dad, he most of the time.
Your mom would wrestle.
Yeah, well, how she would deal with us, right?
Yeah.
If she was like, all right, you guys got all your tests, all your energy, this, that, and the other. What I'm doing, I'm gonna put a wrestling mat in the garage. So she put a wrestling mat in the garage, and that was honestly just like how me and my brothers would. Oh, dude, I can count on like one hand, honestly, how many fights I've been in with my brothers, just strictly because we were able to like go out there and just play around aggressively and get it out and do that.
Which boys need. I'm a huge advocate for that. I have 3 boys and you train all of them.
Tough boys.
Which I'm so grateful for. But very much so from a young age, I saw that they had a need for roughhousing. It wasn't like an inclination or they preferred to. They needed it. So I did something similar. I put mattresses around a room and we would do intentional roughhousing. There's a great book called Playful Parenting.
But I love that your mom did that, and you're saying that it actually made your relationship with your brothers better.
Yeah. Honestly, like me, I was my youngest brother. I mean, God, he was a really gifted wrestler as well. I mean, we would probably have most of our goes with one another there, but then leave just totally fine. And my middle brother, Tim too. They were both really solid with that. And it helped. It bonded us because we would work really, really hard with one another. And I think men, when you work hard, you feel good about one another. So we always felt really good about who we were.
Yeah, very cool. So you all individually felt powerful. And when a man feels powerful inside himself, he doesn't maybe have a need so much to like have that.
Yeah,
what do they call it? Small dick syndrome.
Small dick
whatever.
syndrome. Yeah, little dick man syndrome, the short man syndrome. And it's a real humbling experience, the sport of it, because I mean, literally you can get your ass kicked in your underwear, and that's pretty fucking embarrassing. Like another dude is throwing me around and literally because you wear singlets, like a little small dude, and he's throwing you around, and like, okay, I didn't like that shit, not at all.
No, right,
so
humbling.
That was very humbling and just to be like, okay, there's always somebody that could like, how hard do you really want to work? Right. So it was like, how hard do I really want to work? Am I just going to be a half-asser that like, okay, I do a little bit here, I do a little bit there, or like, dude, every motherfucker that tries to fuck with me, I want to win. I want to win. I want to try to win. I want to try to be in a state where I know I did the work. So no matter what, I feel good about the hard work, but I expect a result out of myself. Like,
do you feel like that translates to mindset? Like if you're working on something that's not physical, like working on, I don't know, like a career, or like, I know you're a great dad. Like, do you feel like that mindset of, do I want to win? Do I want to work harder?
Yeah, I think that can translate really into like anything, especially like as a parent. Like, because I mean, we're all really just, we're kids who are trying to figure out how to be parents. Like, we're still those kids that grow up and go through all these different experiences, but we're still, the same Tommy that likes to do this or do that. And I think, learning that aspect young to have that mindset helps you push yourself to that next level of yourself, right?
And your kids see that too. So if you get given that to yourself, I believe very much so parenting is mostly modeling. Like, you can tell them all day, but if they see you doing something else, they're like,
I'm
whatever.
telling you, if I'm like, hey, don't eat those, like for instance, like with my kid, I'm a real big advocate of like nutrition. I think it just goes, like if you start them young on foods that aren't shit, like that they don't know any different, right? So like that's the same thing there with like what I do with Bella. I'm like, I'm not gonna tell her, hey, oh no, don't eat this shit, and then I'm gonna sit there and eat it.
No, yeah, you can't. They know too. They'll figure you out. They got your numbers so early on. My kids would call me out all the time. They're like, Mom, that ice cream in the fridge, that pint that we got for ourselves, we noticed it. And you can't fake it with kids. And I agree with you. I've always told my kids, read it before you eat it. So you and I are very aligned on nutrition. Like, you put all this stuff in their head at a young age, they are top 1%. I don't care what career they have. I don't care what college they go to. They're going to be top 1% of happiness in life.
And dude, the best gift you can give your fucking kid is like just health. Like give them health to like understand like, okay, hey, I can be on top of that. And like the same thing, like my daughter, she sees me go to the gym. It's like, and work hard. Like I think it's really important. It's like super important that you like put your kids and let them see you work hard. Because then most of the time your kids want to be they're little versions of you who want to look up to something. Like, give them something to look up for.
No, I 100% agree. In this country, we've really lost, but I feel like it's starting to come back, this thing that other cultures do where they bring their kids to work. Like, the kids are incorporated in the daily life of the family. This is common in other cultures. And it's only really recently here I've seen my chiropractor brings her baby in. That noodle place in Burkeville is so freaking good. I see kids in there, like somebody who works there brings their kid, and I think it's beautiful because we separate them so much. They don't see, like you're saying, they do not see the reality of being an adult. All they see, if you go to work all day and they're in school all day, they come home, they see this little wedge, usually a parent being stressed out.
Yeah.
But I agree with you 100%. And
I think the thing you give the world through your children is part of your legacy.
Legacy.
They're going to literally see, okay, I want to take, and it's your choice to take from your parents and create your own legacy. But I think the building blocks to your legacy, you leave your children and let them take pieces of that as they build their own legacy.
And I love that you said legacy because, I work with feminine energy and I talk about women and men a lot in relationships. And I do believe there are some men that I refer to as legacy kings. And I didn't create that term. It was given to me by Embodied Feminine Woman Institute, a program that I love. and highly recommend. But Legacy King is a man who has stepped into his kingdom. Like he's a leader of families, communities, and nations frequently. And that takes a certain masculine energy. And I know that you work with men sometimes on testosterone.
Oh, yeah, quite a bit.
And masculine energy, because it really goes, you can start with testosterone, like I started in holistic health, but it blends out to the spirit and the energy, right?
It's all starts in the mind,
right?
And then what we believe, the story that we're going to tell ourselves. All right, it starts there.
Totally. I'm going to skip ahead to my masculine energy question here, because now
let's get it. We're jumping on it.
No, that's okay. Yeah, because I love that you work with men and you work with testosterone and. Okay, so here's the question I was thinking of when knowing that you're so big into physical health and nutrition and also helping men, and you have private clients and you coach with nutrition and testosterone. How do you feel like testosterone levels affect how men show up in relationships with women?
Dude, I mean, well, I think that tends to have a lot, I think, from both ends. Right now, if we're going to look at this, hormonally, we have to look at the first thing with a man, right? If we're going to talk about his testosterone levels, what are his daily habits? What is his daily routine? Well, if his daily routine is he goes to work, he's stressed out, he comes home, he drinks 6 beers, he goes out back, has a 12, or smokes a couple cigarettes, watches sports on the TV, eats like shit. Okay, generally that man's going to have really low testosterone. He's really practicing no aspect of like becoming a human being and being a man, moving your body, moving your muscles, taking a role, right? So
what about if he comes home, has 1 beer, 2 beers, and sits and plays video games? Yeah, like what if he like what's the middle, like is there a middle ground?
I mean, I think there's all kinds of things as far as distraction. And I've said this to you before, dude. I mean, if you wanted to, you would. If you wanted to, you would. All right? Now, if it's up to you to really understand, okay, yeah, I know something's wrong. Like if you're sitting there and you're tired all the time, you can't figure out why you're tired. Now, that would be like a reason why I would check those things out first from like a blood work perspective and see really where they range on what we call like a deciliter. So per deciliter where their testosterone ranges. Now, to bring that back to how that's going to fall into a relationship. Okay, a man with low testosterone can be very irritable. Very irritable. Most of the time, they're very cranky. All right, they're not driven. All right, most of the time they'll get some that I have seen that have developed the role of discipline that can get up and we'll call like go to work, do the day to day. They can get through that because they have to. All right, but are they really pushing themselves to be like the next level? No. And then, or how does that show up for your wife? All right, so think about it like that way. And even from like an intimacy aspect. I'm a firm believer, dude, if you are not having sex at least 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes even 5, like if you are not, you might as well you're not doing what men were literally put here to do. Literally put here
that's
to
so
do.
Exciting and sexy.
Okay? And think about that as far as like, now that goes both ways, right? Like, now, if women use sex never should use it as a weapon.
No,
never use it as a weapon.
It happens a lot.
It happens so much.
Well, I don't think women do it on purpose. I think a lot of things that women accuse men of, they don't do on purpose. Like I'm a huge advocate for. Women are always saying, he's love bombing, he's emotionally distant. I think a lot of that is unintentional. Honestly, it's wounding. And to your point, when women do it, I actually think it's cultural and it's also her wounding. Like, so I just want to throw a bone to women, but they still do it, and men really feel they do it. Like if a woman doesn't want to have sex, a man will frequently say she's withholding as a power thing. Frequently, if there's not an emotional connection, she doesn't feel seen and heard, this gets turned off. Like this goes short, and there's nothing, I've been there in my marriage, there's nothing you can do if you don't feel safe, there's nothing you can do to turn this on.
I believe that. Yeah. I believe that that's very true. There's a book. I don't know. Have you ever read the book?
There's some men that are very toxic that we don't want to be attracted to, and they can be. And then she's. What are you doing?
What do we call that? It's called the get out of jail sex.
I don't know
really
what that is.
Sex. The get out of jail sex.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, but back to your.
So
main point that men should be having sex, really good sex with their wives.
Yeah, I mean,
pleasing her a lot, at least 5 times.
And think about how that will go about even to you as a man. Right? Like most of the time, dude, why do we work out? I work out because I want to look good naked. Like most men go to the gym. I will tell you that because they want to look good naked and they want to look good naked, whether that be for their wife, their girlfriend, whoever they're sleeping with, X, Y, Z. Now, that's going to create more and more testosterone as they're there, but they're trying to show up for their wife in that aspect, like, hey, I'm going to work hard so I can deliver like the best lay that I can possibly give my wife, right? Now,
and that motivation sometimes comes from testosterone, and if they don't have any, then it's almost like this circle, right? It's like going to the gym, like get out, put on your stuff, get out the door and just go, even if you don't feel like it. Because once you create that momentum, it starts to create like,
and it falls back to like really
so just start doing
communication too. So if like you're always hot and heavy, I believe, in the first like couple months of your relationship, because you're in honeymoon phase. You want to try. You want to hunting. You're in a season of like, okay, I just did what my man self is supposed to do.
Yeah.
I need to. How can I continue to keep this going? And that's where like relationships really thrive. They're like, oh, this is the best guy. He's speaking my love language. He's doing all these little things. He's telling me I'm beautiful. He's waking me up with coffee. He's opening the door for me.
And women, we love that
little
so much.
Flowers on the weekend, things like that.
Do you think it's love bombing? I think that's how men really are in the beginning, and then we don't know who you really are until 4 to 6 months. That's when it starts to settle down, and then the true person comes out.
I do think that's true, but I also think that like it really depends on communication, right? Because communication is key. And how you choose to keep that going. So like, again, I was married for together 6 years. We're separated, right? But we literally, there was never an issue as far as intimacy goes. We probably had sex more than China had rice, dude, as far as that. And now taking that back to that context, right, with like how that would, flow into the aspect there. I mean, it just depends on really the human being and how well they're willing to communicate it.
I think it's communication.
I see that like, hey, dude, you haven't got me flowers in a while. All right, hey, get me flowers. Now it's up to you. Your wife just told you that if you get her flowers, you're more than likely to get laid. Why don't you get her flowers? Then you can get laid and continue to the little things like that. You have
Can we do a role play real quick?
Sure.
Okay, because I love talking about feminine communication, and you're very masculine. So I love the role play. We did it before the recording.
Yeah,
we
it was fun. It's quite fun.
We role played what you would do if a man really wanted to come in for a kiss, but as a woman, I didn't want it, and so my friend hypothesized that that it would be very hard to evade that. And so Tommy played the role of the man who is very pushy. Anyway, it was helpful. And so this role play is, okay, so let's say that I'm a woman and I want more flowers. We've been dating a long time or married, but it's long term. Like it's gone past the honeymoon phase. And I love flowers, which I actually do very much so. And you've kind of stopped doing it. We don't know if you stopped doing it because you're super busy at work or because I've been pushy and honestly controlling, like I've gone into my masculine or, all the things women can do. But I would like to role play 2 ways. I can ask you for flowers or express that need. Okay. And then just respond as you would respond, okay?
Okay.
Okay, here's the first way. Maybe ask me what's wrong.
Honey, you don't seem like yourself lately. Is everything okay?
Oh, no, I'm fine.
Okay, well, everybody's fine, honey. What's really going on?
I mean, honestly?
Yeah, honest, like wholeheartedly.
I don't, it's weird that you don't already know this because I feel like you know me really well, so how can you not even see this? But I'll just say, you used to get me flowers a lot, and now you don't get me any flowers anymore. It feels like it's been forever, and I just feel like you don't love me or respect me as a woman.
Okay. First off, honey, I love you, and you are right. You know what? I might have been slacking on my flower game. You're totally, totally right. Look, tell you what. Daniel Stowe Botanical Gardens. It's this little place in Belmont. Tomorrow, clear your schedule. Let's go tour the flowers.
Oh, my God. Okay.
How does that sound?
That's amazing.
All right? And I tell you what, okay? I will even do this even better. We're going to go have lunch at this little place that's right there on the corner. We have a little flower shop right next to it. Let's go check it out.
Oh, okay. Well, that
And
sounds
look,
nice.
Thank you for being honest with me. Thank you for communicating with me. All right? Let's continue to do that. I'm sorry.
Is this how you coach men?
Yeah.
That's a huge win.
Dude,
I didn't
think
even
about
give you
that.
I gave
She
you the
probably,
offer version.
Look, I probably could have gotten laid if I wanted to, honestly, after that. I mean, literally, if you wanted to get laid, it would have happened right then and there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Look it.
Especially if you actually have follow through, and the words are great, and most women are swayed by the words. But eventually, in a relationship, there's not follow through. But you're assuming that they have follow through.
Okay, most men, the minute we hear something from along the lines from our wife that something is wrong, oh fuck, what the fuck did I do?
Yeah.
oh shit, okay, how can I fix it? I am so guilty of that. Sometimes when I'm like, oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? Oh, what do you mean? Oh, fuck. Oh, wait, you don't like, what do you mean, honey? Oh, I don't get you flowers? Yes, I get you flowers.
Yeah, defensive.
The minute a man decides to create chaos and communicate in a form of chaos, it's only going to be met with more chaos. There's a book called The Ultimate Male. You should read this book. All right.
I love
now,
that.
some of it I agree with it, some of it I don't. But there is a context where it talks about navigating, right? And how, and this isn't a shot at women when I say this, but it's like women can sometimes be the ocean. They can be chaos. There's a lot of things there. It's up to the man to navigate that chaos because he's the captain of his ship, right? That's how they talk about it. And I'm going to navigate that water calm, cool, calm, collectly, and I'm going to learn how to sail through those rough parts. That's the same thing that when it comes back to a hard conversation like that, like get out of the idea of playing defense. Like, man, I've done it. I've so much have done that as far as get on the defense mode. Like as a fighter, the one thing that was really hard for me to do is I learned every battle was just to fight it, right? And that just doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. You have to learn how to fight well, all right? It's not just aggression 24/7, right? Some battles aren't won that way.
That's so interesting. Oh, so many analogies. So one beautiful meditation I love to give to women is literally how their spirit is like the ocean. It can be rough, it can be gentle, it's mysterious, there's dark swirling depths, it's unpredictable. And as a surfer, a very bad surfer, but still a devoted surfer, what you're saying is true also. If you fight the waves, I've surfed in some rough waters and forget it, I'm not going to get out there. I'm not. Some men can, but so I have to find the easy way. I have to find the softness in the water, the channel, and I have to go that way and wait. You have to do a lot of waiting in surfing. So like all of this is really resonating. I gave you the shittiest version of a woman complaining about flowers. I didn't even give you the version I would tell women to please not do it that way, the way I did it.
No, and it's all depend. Like,
because like you said, you got to have a man who's done the work, Tommy. I mean, look, I only hang out with top 1% of men like Tommy. That's who I surround myself with because once you've done the work, your standards are super high. And I will say this, there's not enough of those men who have done that kind of work. So if you go down a little bit to the man who can't hear, I mean, the way I said it, most men, even healthy ones would have taken offense to that.
Yeah,
the voice on her face, the like pouty, like nothing's wrong.
Did you notice what I did? So one thing that I want you to notice, and that John Whitaker, he was actually my premarital counselor at one point in time. He's actually here in North Carolina, right? By me putting my hand on hers in a gentle way was just letting her know that, hey, look, I got you. I'm sorry. It wasn't aggressive. I didn't try to like totally. Grounding. It was just, hey, look, I'm sorry. It's going to be okay. Sometimes just a little hug or a little touch like there goes such a long way when all that roughness is going to proceed that you're going to have a tough conversation with one another.
But if you haven't done the work as a man and you still have what I call feminine wounding, because I work with a lot, like that's a lot of what I work with women is old wounding that impacts our ability to show up in relationships. So if a man has resentment towards a feminine, he hasn't healed, or has that defense, that super big ego defensiveness, which women have so much of the same wounding, but we're talking about men. When she presents it the way I did it, good luck.
Yeah.
Because unless they've done a year of private coaching with Tommy or something like, so can I do it the second way? That's much better. This is the way I would like women to do it, and I'm just off the cuff here. So, but I just want you as a man to kind of feel how this feels in your body, if you would, and like versus the first way. And I'm going to actually take the initiative here because I'm assuming I'm from a healthy, secure place in the relationship.
Okay.
Tommy, how was your day?
That was great. What was yours, honey?
It was pretty good. I know you're busy, but when you have a few minutes, I need to talk to you about something. It will only take 5 minutes of your time. So,
what's up, honey? I'm right now. What's the matter?
Okay. I feel a little shy saying this because you are such a great man and you do so many wonderful things for our family, and I know how much you love me, and I always trust that you are doing the best thing for us in our relationship. There's a part of me, though, that keeps thinking about the times when we were dating where you used to bring me like, remember the time you showed up and you had those red roses?
Right, honey.
I mean, I melted. I just felt like such a princess, such a queen. And I don't need them, I guess, but I do miss them. And sometimes I wonder if you could do that some more, maybe.
All right. Okay. So I get it. All right. A little more flowers. You got it. Sure. Thank you very much. Look, thank you for communicating with me. Look, I love you. Thank you. I tell you what, again, let's go to this little date
Same
spot
offer?
down. Yeah, same offer. Let's go downtown, this little spot, all right? Botanical Gardens. We're going to look at all the flowers, all right? And then we're going to stay at this little hotel right next to this little flower shop. We're going to go pick out some, all right?
Wonderful.
All right, I'm sorry.
so excited.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for hearing me. I
You're welcome.
always feel
That's
so
it.
safe
Just be
with you.
calm. Same way I would have gone into the last one. It's
But
just
did it feel
be-
better?
Oh,
The way
now
I said it?
things that I think women should understand this, that I think most men like they take for granted is gratitude and respect. Look at how she communicated to me. First, she said, "I'm so proud of you. Like, I appreciate all that you do." She showered me with compliments. Most men like that. They do. Like, men
Well, you
like to hear
deserve
that.
it.
Everybody likes it. I even think like same words of affirmation, whether you love languages, this, that, or the other, it does feel good to have that sense of reassurance, and it goes back to the communication aspect. Now, how you communicated it there, that's not a fix it. My mode didn't go to, oh shit, I gotta fix this. Okay, my wife's communicating to me. Notice too, it isn't postponing. When my wife says she needs to talk to me, no matter what, and women too, if your husband says he needs to talk to you, give him the 5 minutes, okay? I'm telling you, that was a huge problem in my relationship with my wife when I would want 5 minutes. Sometimes she would be so driven that she would be doing that, hey, I can't talk right now. When it's like, you know what? The most important thing amongst even being a parent and that line is you have to have husband and wife in line, and so much that role gets twisted left, right, and center.
And I agree.
Yeah.
And I will say this though to the women, that's very generous of Tommy. And I still recommend that if you have a hardworking man who is in focus mode and he's making money for your family and he's a provider protector, please give him the respect of asking for his time. They're in focus mode. I don't want to take you out of focus mode. I love the focus mode because that provides. And so for me to always come in like a woman does with other women, like we're talking about 5 things at once, we're multitasking. I feel like when women expect a man to be able to show up like that, you're asking for a girlfriend.
Because you got a lot of polarity, right? You got
Right?
2 different sides of the track here.
Do you prefer, okay, let's say if you had a choice whether she asked you when was a good time versus not, do you prefer being asked when is a good time? 'Cause
I think it just comes down to how hard you hold your wife in the priority spot. Like, okay, is my wife that most important person? It doesn't matter if she asks me for 5 minutes later or 5 minutes now. I'd rather let's talk about it now. I don't need 5 minutes. Let's get to the point. Anything else can wait. Like, job can wait, work can wait, kids can wait. Like, I just think
But not every man is like you.
But I think if we could get to
Let's
that
say
point,
for the average man, would you tell her?
Sure, honey, give me 5 minutes. Yeah, and you know what? That's gonna go over so bad. Like, I just don't see it. I don't see it like going over well. I just don't think it's I don't think it's a good pattern to, as far as like you're a husband, to like put your wife on the back burner like that. Like, she's coming to you and like saying about, I understand, hey, maybe you need time and all that other. Like, dude, 5 minutes. Go take it and go do it.
So, okay, and I'm just gonna now devil's advocate. There are a lot of women who tend to lean anxious.
Yeah, that's true.
And so what seems like an emergency, and so you've probably seen women like this, even if your wife is not like this, you know, there seems to be a lot of emergencies that come up. So I was married to a multiple CEO of multiple companies, and I mean, he was CEO of multiple. I wasn't married to multiple CEOs. Okay.
I got you.
Anyway.
One of them, he had a few, huh?
So, but the point is, out of respect to him, like, he really was pulled in a million different directions. And if I leaned anxious and I always had an issue and I always had something that felt urgent to me, that's
different.
why I said, because
if you're calling me every 5 minutes with a problem, now that's a little much. But if it's like, hey, my wife never really does this and she's calling me out of the blue to tell me, hey, these flower things
assume
are
that
real.
she does it. As soon as she's like most women who run anxious and a little codependent, I'm going to be honest, I work with a lot of women. Most women, even if they mean well, they do tend to have more of a need for, right now, I want to tell you, right now, this just came up, I had a dream. I think, does this mean something about our marriage? So that's part of why I say let's ask him so that he can finish something sometimes.
True. I mean, I can understand that there. And as long as I think the husband, depending on the woman and where she's at, right, just give the reassurance that, hey, what you got to tell me is really, really important.
Yes,
Like,
yeah.
okay, give the
You're right.
reinsurance that you're
That's a good way to say
you're my top priority, honey. Just give me 5 minutes if I need it. Like, okay, I understand that.
Well, I feel like it's very reasonable for him to say, something like, "I'm actually on a work call until 3:30, 3:40. Does that work?"
Does that work? Yeah,
And if she's like flipping out, then
I understand.
and she's not a normal
depending
flipper
on
outer.
the context,
yeah,
but
right.
if she's not a normal flipper outer, like I want to know what's going on with my wife. I would be
I'm
like,
not going to
okay,
raise
what's
my
going on?
hand that I'm a flipper outer, but I'm compassionate to the flipper outers. I'm a healed flipper outer.
And to the ones I'll be like, you know what? I do think it comes from a sense too, like you have to have a little bit of security in your marriage and understand that the do roles that sometimes people are busy like that.
Yeah.
Like my wife was I traveled a lot for work when we were opening these up across the country, and it would always be, she's very, I need to see a picture. Where are you at? Where is this? Where is that? Where is that? And that's a little, okay, we had to put a
very reassuring to her, I feel like.
I was like, here you go, honey. You can boom, 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 boom.
That's
I would
so
send the
sweet.
pictures, do this, do that.
Because, look, most
Depending
of us,
on who you're with, they're going to react differently to different things.
most of us come from trauma. Most of us come from wounding. Hopefully we've done the work, but none of us are fully healed. We're still on a journey. So if your wife tends towards what we know is now fearful avoidant or anxious avoidant attachment style, where she leans towards anxious, needing a lot of reassurance, this is so common. The fact that as a man you can give that to her is so beautiful, because the message most women like that get is your needs are too much, you're too much. Now feeding into it a whole lot so that it enables it is another thing. But being able to give reassurance, even if she knows she's kind of overstepping or being a little paranoid, is
She
really
knows you got her at the end of the
beautiful.
day.
Yeah. And because you're very handsome and you're traveling, and she knows how women are. You've told me. You've said that here at the gym. Can I say this?
Well, you can say whatever you want. Yeah,
That-
sure. There's
and I
been
get
offers.
shocked.
There's been offers.
Oh my God, I have my postmaster's in sexual health, and I love men, and I guess I'm flirty. I don't know, and I love sexuality, and I think I'm super naive, because when you told me that, I was like, what? That women will come in through his gym and show you photos of themselves naked or themselves having sex with other men.
Yeah, they'll do it.
And they'll invite you to their car.
Yep,
Like,
they'll do it. Oh yeah.
so no wonder she's fall. I mean, she clearly has some awareness
Yeah,
I didn't have. I
There's-
didn't. Women are doing this a lot now. What
I
is
think
your
it's
view? What's happening with women right now in the dating world, for the love of God?
God, for the dating world.
Because
So
I always advise women to wait. Nobody's waiting. I mean,
first and foremost, I think before you okay, so I've been separated now 2 years. Separated 2 years. I think before you jump in the dating pool as a man, you really need to take some time, and I personally think isolate yourself and get into the idea of who you actually really want to be and establish some boundaries, and what your actually roles, and not necessarily what I mean as roles, but where, okay, my boundary might be that, hey, you know what, I only like in shape people. You know what, call me vain, call me whatever, all right, but I only like in shape people. Hey, or you know what, if you X this, then you know what, nah, I'm done. That just doesn't work for me.
100%. These are called non-negotiables. Yeah. I love them. I think everyone should have them.
Yeah, I think as a man, when you come out of a separation or a divorce, sometimes men who, I look at it as sometimes, and I had to really change my mindset on it, was I looked at it as failure. And I was I failed, and I don't know how to fail.
Yeah,
I wanted my marriage to be perfect, and okay, I'm looking at it like I failed, and that's not helpful. That's not going to teach me.
I think that's very common. I've heard this.
Yeah, and that's not going to teach me anything. What am I going to do? I'm going to feel sorry for myself. I'm going to do what most men do when they get divorced. They go on drinking fucking benders. They sleep with just emotionally unavailable women who are just
cuckoo,
whatever. Yeah,
right?
They just hit the clock to get it. Right? Again, or they dive deep into themselves the other way. And I think that's the way that I would
That's the only kind of man I'll date.
Encourage most men to lean that way. Figure out who you are, what your boundaries are truly going to be. And then from there, take that out into the dating world.
100%.
Right.
That's actually rare. And I recently posted questions on my Instagram, what you should ask a man in early dating. And one of them was, how have you healed? Because if that's all you say, when someone's healed a lot, they will tell you, and someone who hasn't, you'll know immediately that they haven't done anything. They won't even know what you're talking about. I encounter that so much, that answer, what? What do you mean by healed? Or, I went to the gym. But what you're saying, 100%. And the women I know who are like stellar after a terrible divorce, who came out beautifully shining on top, have done that. They've gone celibate for like a year and at least, and gotten really real with who they are, who am I, what was my role in the breakup, what was my role.
And I know you lean hard on Tony Robbins.
I do like him now. That's new for me.
I'm telling you, I know it's new for you.
I love him.
And I you know, again, I watch some of these guys and I agree this, that, and the other. But when he tells about telling the story that, so Tony Robbins says, you tell the story to yourself, you start believing it. You tell a lie big enough, small enough, whatever.
That's so true.
If you come out of a divorce and the lie that you tell yourself is poor, poor, pitiful me as a man, and play then that victim role, like that is a recipe for disaster.
100%.
It's a recipe for
and
disaster.
if a man starts talking like that early in dating, he's actually a no. Like, it's literally the biggest red flag. I won't even go on another date. It's repulsive because it tells me he's in victim mentality. He really hasn't looked at himself.
Same thing with her. If she's like,
gonna be
all this
drama mess.
Oh, this guy did this to me. This guy did that to me.
Really? What kind of woman are you that called that in?
Yeah, you're not done yet. Like, you know, like what? And most people really, like, they have to look at, like, okay, what caused the person to react this way? Like, and they don't do that in a relationship. I think that lacks a lot. Like, sometimes, okay, again, as men, and men are guilty of doing that. They're like so quick to like just boom, not really look at like, okay, why is my wife reacting this way? Like, instead, let me just freak
compassion.
out. Let me freak out to her reaction instead of really
That's wounding.
Let me dig in and see why she is doing this.
Well, that freak out to the reaction is wounding. I believe it's dismissive avoidant. And it's such a fear of shame, such a fear of being not enough, such a shame from childhood, maybe an over strict parent or really strict school setting, that like anything that even suggests like it might be criticism. I mean, there are men who cannot even hear, and women, but this tends to be men more, who can't even hear a woman's needs. Now, even if she said it the second way I said it, they can't even hear that. I've had that experience, and it's so painful. And that's a man who hasn't done his healing work. Like, he can't hear anything without this deep shame, and then they pull away.
Yeah, and it's just a recipe for a disaster with their relationship.
Because when you talked about they freak out, like they have that, like you said, they in their head, they get like, oh my God, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And so what they'll do is they'll either react angry, or they'll be like, okay,
and that for
got
them
it,
is
I'm no
when they
good,
go into that, that's
away.
very feminine based energy.
Or they pull away.
They go boom, they go right into that like catty mode. That shit don't work.
Yeah,
man.
that's wounding.
That shit don't work. You know, it just
and then she has to go in her masculine.
Yeah.
When that happens, she's frightened, and then she has to
scared,
wall up
and then she's
armor
like, yo,
up.
fuck you for talking to me like that. And then the next thing you know, one thing leads to another. And we're so quick, and we really are, like, and to judge off one moment at a time. Sometimes we can judge an individual off one moment at a time and leave them there based off that moment of time, and not give them a chance to come this, that, or the other. So that's a thing you gotta be careful with when you do get to those like heated, tough argument conversations, and those things come up like that. When those typical, when you have these fights and you're gonna get to that point, right? As a man, you gotta realize that. Be like, all right, hold on a minute. Like, so let's think. How am I gonna, like, she's mad at me today, or she doesn't love me. I'm leaving her. I'm done.
That's reactivity. That's wounding.
I'm jumping out. Or woman's like, oh, you know
that's
what?
Weakness, right?
He didn't call me tonight. I want a divorce. You know, I'm like, okay. Like, that's reacting to a moment in time, one moment in time. Okay? How many you have, if your vacations outweigh your storms, you really need to do some digging as far as like how you're going to have your reaction there. And it's really hard for individuals to breathe through that process and be like, okay.
I don't even think it's about that moment.
I'm not going to judge
like
my person. I'm judging my person so much about this moment, like, and it has to be a choice of how we're gonna choose to navigate that. Am I gonna, like, okay, she's obviously having a moment. Men can't really recognize that most of the time. They're like, oh shit, she's having a moment. Like, maybe I need to just be cool, calm, and collected. Most of the time, what you see now, it's just bam.
Well, they're triggered, they're wounded, and they can't. It's not even about the moment that's happening. I don't believe it's even about that moment. It's about something that happened when you were a kid.
No, true.
I'm a
Very
huge fan
true.
of inner child healing, and I have a good friend, Liz Burkholder. She does such a beautiful sessions, and sometimes we do it on the fly when I see her. But like every time you're triggered, you can go back to your childhood, and you can find the time that you first heard that message that was so scary. So like what I'm saying is I don't think those moments are even about that moment at
No.
all. They're literally a kid inside you freaking out, maybe a teenager, maybe a kid, but something happened, a rejection or
but you use it as like maybe better off to say some people will use that as an excuse, right? Oh, she did this.
yeah, because that's
she
weak.
did that.
That's weakness.
Or he did that.
That's
and
running away.
Oh my God, he did this one little thing, but he's done a million great things for me, but I'm going to judge him off of that one moment right there.
Yeah, because that's really trauma.
Or same thing on his end. Oh, she's done all this for me, but you know what? No, she had a weak moment, and I'm gonna boom, I'm gonna judge her on that.
Good luck on that
now,
relationship.
and then we can, and then
Good
we
luck.
can, where I find it really hard too is like, then you battle with the spiritual, the religious, the faith, all that gets involved in that aspect, right? Because if we're talking about how we look at that biblically, right? God, I believe there's I'm not sure the actual phrase, right? But it's to forgive 7 times, 77 times. It says that in the Bible. One is to forgive like that. So a husband is to forgive his wife 7 times, 77 times, right? And a husband is to love his wife as God loved the church, right? If you look at that from a religious
I love it. I was going to start talking about spirituality, so I'm glad you brought it in. It's hugely important, I think, for healing relationships.
I think it's truly important because, look, no matter where you lean, this, that, and the other, you have to have a place to put your anxieties, your worries, your things that I think that sometimes we just carry, that, and we go there every once in a while. That we're just human beings. Sometimes we have bad days, or I wake up and today I'm just like, oh fuck, I'm gonna make the choice to choose anxiety today. Okay, well, how do I counteract that? Well, I think faith is a really big thing. I think when men can learn to put their anxieties on God, because it's not good to put your anxieties on your wife. That is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
The more chaos you try to put on your wife, you don't look like you got it together.
And your home begins to crumble.
Yeah.
The structure of the home begins to crumble. I agree with you that a man is, I guess I'm kind of religious, more spiritual, but I believe all of it. But what you're saying, I 100% resonate with, and I teach women from a very spiritual perspective that there's a divine alignment with relationship, and I do believe I won't date a man that doesn't have a faith base and doesn't pray. For that reason, what I found is he doesn't have anywhere to go with his deepest stuff that comes up. He doesn't have a structure. He doesn't have a higher power to, like you said, give it to.
Cast your anxieties away. And same thing like a little child. I think it's important to teach your children. It's like, look, you're going to experience bullshit in your life. You're going to have days where you're fucking mad. You're going to have days where there's anxiety. You're going to have days when there's just, you know what? Put those on God and keep going, baby.
Well, you take your role as a father very seriously. I know this. And so what is your hope for her? Like, as you're parenting her as a man, what are your big goals for her? And as she grows up.
As she grows up, I want her to be the most authentic self that she can be. Yeah. I want her to be true to who she is. I want her to just, as her father, the things I want her to lean for always is to treat everyone with respect. No matter who they are, what they've been through, it's a choice on how you choose to communicate with individuals, and we should always learn to communicate with respect. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we let somebody off the hook if they're being an asshole, but we can definitely show respect to everyone, no matter what. It's a character thing that I just think goes really well with, to teach her that, it's so important to create lines of discipline. I teach her all the time. I'm like, look, honey, if you want to she wants to be an acrobat. Okay, you want to be an acrobat? Well, here's what I think you should do, all right? And I want her to just be comfortable knowing that she is true to who she authentically is. I want her to love herself more than anything else. Love who you are, because if you don't love who you are, you will not be able to love anybody else.
That's so true.
It is the truth. If you don't wake up in the day and you're like, I fucking love me some me.
That's right.
I fucking love me some me. I do. God. And my wife used to hate that. I'm like, no, I love me. I fucking love who I am.
If you don't love yourself, you cannot really love someone else. You will take all your little insecurities and you're going to put them on that other person.
Yeah. And it turns into jealousy. I think it can lead to a form of jealousy, and jealousy is, again, can be venom to a relationship.
And we're not talking about like, we're not about ego. There's a whole different thing between a false self-love, which is like an ego performance. And I talk to women a lot about performative sexuality, where you're super hot, but you're actually empty. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about true self-love. And if you don't feel it that day, guess what? Come to the Rockbox gym. Seriously, you will after that. If you get through that class, that's a winning day.
Dude,
if I get through a hot yoga and it's 100 degrees, I'm covered in sweat, that's a winning day.
Chasing real dopamine. Like there are forms of real dopamine that are out there that you could chase.
So many.
That are just not, you go smoke a million, you want to smoke a little weed, sure. But you don't have to get blasted here. You don't have to do this there. Whatever, there's so many ways.
I get dopamine just like having a conversation like this, which is why I love podcasts, or even going to the coffee shop and talking to the barista about something. I get dopamine from like complimenting other people and making them feel good. You can get it everywhere.
Real dopamine. Right? And how, going back to talk about what I'd really like to see for my daughter is when she carries that authenticity, that she just learns that to, again, talk about love her and herself, and she has a high standard for herself.
Yeah.
That like, hey, you know what? This doesn't work. And I want her to see in the house, and what I do is now me and her mother are a split relationship, but she will never see me ever talk bad about her mother. I will never, ever do that. Her mother is always welcome in my house. I teach her that she has a stepfather, and I also teach her that he is your stepfather. He deserves the same exact respect that you give me, and you're to do that. All right? And he is dad when you are there. Blended families are really, really hard. They are super, super hard. And that is a real tough thing to do as a man, to say, hey, I'm going to let this other person act like dad. That was really hard for me.
I never thought about
that. And I know how hard that is for moms on the other end. Well, I know how hard it was for my kid's mother when I first got married, how hard that was, that somebody else was playing the role of mom when you're not there. But the idea with that is you're only robbing the child of love. And you're only going to rob that child, and you're going to teach that child to have resentment towards one another.
Well, you just got to pray that their partner picks someone good.
And you never know who they're going to pick, right? Yeah. But I do think if you can get along with one another, I'm a firm believer to get in one another. I had to struggle with that
a lot after my divorce.
It's really hard. It's really, really hard because we get to the point, like, sometimes it comes down to control. People are like, oh, well, and they use their kids as a control mechanism, and that's not the case. That is not the case.
Yeah, that's all wounding. I had to do so much healing after my divorce because I had a ton of resentment. I've told you some things about my marriage, and he's a good man, but I had some reasons to be like a little. But God told me, until you let go of all resentment towards what he did and appreciate him, and not only that, give him unconditional love. This was literally, God told me this, you will not step into your abundance monetarily or love-wise. And I was like, are you serious? So I went to the Ho'oponopono work and I did some things, and I'm pretty much there now. But that was huge.
It's huge.
And it's real.
It's really tough.
You will not step into something nice if you are. I have this question, and I love that you love to talk about relationships, so I don't mind harping on this. In your experience, and this is for my ladies out there in the dating world, of which I have many, or who are trying to have more polarity in their intimate relationships. Yeah, and we have a series starting on February 2nd, and it's a movement series, but we work on feminine sensuality. We work on unleashing those tight, constricted areas that came from body shame and trauma. And so we want her to be more relaxed and feminine and open. And in all that beautiful openness, we want her to be able to attract the highest quality man. So, in your experience, what qualities do high-value, strong men look for in a partner from a woman?
In a woman. See, men and women are different, right? What I think most men look for is a sense of peace. Doesn't really matter necessarily, like, I don't care if you're a CEO, I don't care if you're a nurse, I don't care if you work at freaking McDonald's. If I can come home from the day that I've had, whether that be this, that, or the other, right? A tough day, good day, this, that, and the other. When I can walk through the door and find a sense of peace, I promise you, it doesn't matter what you look like. I've slept with supermodels, to freaking, you name it, right? It doesn't matter. If you can find that, like, for a man, he can come home and just be at a sense of peace. I think that's really like the bread and butter. Now, does that take time to like build up? Yeah. What I look for in a woman, right? In the world today, and it's different because I mean, women are going to be, the older you get, I do think that it's like you're going to have a lot of guys who shoot for that younger girl that they can coach, right? That they can groom to however they want that person to be. Right? And that's tough to hear.
Really a partner.
It's tough to hear.
Well,
tough to hear.
Are they looking for
But
someone?
think about it. Most men who are the age of 35 to 45 who are single are more attracted to women who are the age 25 to 30 versus 30 plus.
Because they want to still have babies?
They want to still have babies.
Because that relationship...
Or those women haven't really, the ones that are, that have had to really take, honestly, that have had to take into a really masculine role. They have to be mom. They have to be dad. They have to do all these things. Sometimes they'll forget how to really come back to that idea of how to be a wife. Like, no matter what, and I think, like, it's really hard when you have a dual working home. Like, if your wife's going to work and you're going to work and you're trying to do that, and a man needs to show up as a man, but when the wife's role is to show up as wife time, like, it's important to do that if you're going to play that game.
That's a lot of balancing, and so I do work with women in that also. Like, how do you go to the workforce and come home and be in your feminine energy? And I'll tell you need the right man, because certain men that we've talked about are so wounded you will never be able to relax with them. And so there's two things she can do. She can either completely go into her feminine energy, refuse to be in her masculine, and he'll either step up or he'll go away, and that's a scary thing. But to your point, that's very interesting. So you're saying that the men don't want a bitter woman who's resentful, overworked, haggard, and this is what I teach women all the time. You don't have to live like that. You can be super happy and feminine and successful. There's absolutely ways, but so many don't know this. And so what the men are doing, 35 to 45, which is really in prince mode, it's not in king mode, so it's interesting. They're still building usually at that age. So they want a woman that isn't going to distract them from their building. So that's probably, you're right, like in the 20s. However, unless she's a very special kind of woman with a lot of emotional maturity, is that going to last, that relationship? Is that really going to last?
Depends on how it falls into the relationship. Well, now I see more of that now. And what I think most men...
Because I have a lot of men, I'll be honest, in their early 40s ask me out all the time. Late 30s, early 40s, all the time. I'm way over that age. And I find it interesting, and I usually say no. I might just play around to like go on a couple dates for fun, but... I don't want, that's interesting because I know they're in a building phase and I know where I'm at. I'm legacy king phase. So I haven't seen that. And a lot of the women I coach actually are getting asked out by younger men. Isn't that interesting? But you're seeing men, I wonder if it's my cohort.
Yeah,
I'm just going to say. Because you're seeing men 35 to 45 only going for 20s, which to me feels like insecurity.
25, 30. Yeah.
It feels like ego boost,
if you would look
and insecurity, not looking for partnership.
True, but if you looked at most of these men on paper, they're quote unquote, they would meet the specifics for what most women would want. He's successful here, he does this, he does that.
I know that checklist.
He can achieve there, he's got the...
I'm very aware of that checklist.
He checks the list.
And I'll tell you, that's a checklist. It's not necessarily a high quality man. There's a difference, and a lot of women don't know this. A high value man,
knowing the difference,
there's a huge difference, right? You can have that checklist. I mean, I've dated some men with, that does not mean he's a high quality man for a wonderful, you know this too, because you've seen these guys.
I think it's very true when it comes to like, as far as the, like most of the millionaires, they want the body type of whoever, right? Whoever's could be the 25-year-old who has nothing,
my body
But
type.
going back, exactly, right? But going back into like the idea of where it's like, why they would look to that younger age is it too. Most of them, right, they're hurt, they're bitter, they're having some kind of deal
wounded.
That's there. They're like from someone who would like, what I find it most attractive about, I like confidence is a big thing.
I forgot my question. Yes, confidence, peace.
If a woman's, peace, it has to give, I don't care, like, again, you have to keep yourself in shape. That's one of my boundaries.
Who wants to roll their partner around in a wheelchair in 3 years? I agree, that's how I feel.
Don't. And sometimes the honest truth has to happen. Like, you have to, it's a hard conversation to have, but sometimes you have to tell people like, hey, dude, you're fat.
I've done
this.
You're
fat. You know?
Do you know I did this? I think I told you. I went on 2 dates. I'm not even on the apps anymore. I'm just doing, I'm on God's path now. But I went on 2 dates and their pictures were obviously different than the reality because 2 different guys showed up much heavier and they were so nice and we had such a good time. And I thought about it and I was like, I'm so not attracted to this. But my father died of a heart attack when I was 16. He was overweight. And so I think that like I will never align with a man who doesn't have physical health because I see what happened. It was devastating to the family. I was a girl that
You were 16,
grew up without a father.
grew up without a dad.
Today's his birthday, by the way.
Oh, is it really?
Yes,
Oh,
I
right.
posted about it. He was kind of famous and amazing. But yeah, no, so I will not. And I told both of them. And I said, you're such a great guy. I really enjoy my time with you. And you did all these things right. And I'm not attracted to your body shape because it feels like you don't take care of it. And that's scary to me as a woman. And it's not attractive. And I just was very direct.
No,
and they both thanked me. And I hope they're out there working out somewhere.
Yeah. I hope they are too. And it was one thing you mentioned. I didn't know that about your dad dying at 16. Yeah. I think that's awful, man. I'm so sorry to hear that because I really think a role of a father in women is extremely important.
So important. Well, I've done a lot of work. That was very wounding.
That probably had to take a lot of work.
That's why I know so much about attachment problems because I was very fearful avoidant, and that comes from that fear of abandonment.
Well, every woman I've seen to have a long-term relationship, and it's interesting, like that, no dad.
You can't, because you have that divine masculine energy.
No dad.
It's so healing.
I can say that, like, I'm like,
so healing.
And it's hard though, because sometimes, like, I'm gonna be real, like, Facebook, Instagram, and stuff created like a storybook of what marriage is, and they live off that because they've never seen that.
They don't know.
They don't know what it is,
what it really
right?
is.
So what real tough marriage is fucking tough, man. Being in a committed relationship is probably one of the toughest things to do.
Yeah.
One of the toughest
all your wounds get
fucking
revealed.
things to do. The gym's easy, fucking business is easy. All that being in a committed relationship when you're like, yo, fuck you, I fucking can't stand you today. But you know what?
Oh,
I trust you.
that was kind of hot when you said
I trust it. Yeah, it is. It's true. That, like, can you imagine? Like,
How do you make everything look hot?
That's how it is, man. Like, you know, that you're gonna have to know that I think, like, dude, some days you're gonna take my fucking heart, you're gonna put it in a fucking blender, and you're gonna twist it around. And yeah, at the end of it though, I still fucking trust you.
Yeah,
still trust you.
Okay, so I am going to go back to though, because now I got like a little about, you said all these men 35 to 40 were like looking for something, but then you said they're actually wounded, they're in a lot of pain. So a lot of times they have a lot of money, they're a checklist, but they're actually wounded, so they're looking for younger because they don't want to deal with any, really, I think they don't want to deal with being required to step up sometimes.
True.
And also they want to, you know, screw that young body, makes them feel more
makes them feel
masculine.
good. Makes them feel good.
That's just the whole thing. But this is what kind of shifts can a woman make to invite that kind of present, protective providership energy from a strong masculine man? So she's an average woman. What kind of shifts should she make besides coming, obviously, to my class and my coaching?
That's it. Yes. First and foremost, go to class with D, right? But I think it comes down to is like who the man really is in the relationship, right? Like, okay, how can you bring that into a relationship? Well, communication, right? And for a man, I think peace, dude, goes back to me saying.
So she should evoke a sense of peace, which she can't do unless she's actually peaceful
internally,
right? She can fake it.
Peace, gratitude, and respect are the, like,
peace,
like
gratitude and appreciation for him,
and respect.
And respect for him.
100%. Three things. You put those three things before the sex can be A grade. It can be fucking perfect. I would rather have gratitude, respect, and boom. I would rather have those than, I don't care, that kind of boom, whatever.
You'd rather have gratitude, respect, and appreciation. Gratitude, respect, and peace in the home.
Peace in the home.
Then.
No, it's not that. Now, if I had a choice to pick those three over,
and like a lame
life,
not lame, just vanilla.
It was like
she just lays there on her back.
Fuck that. No,
just lays there.
I can't do that. No, it's no fun. Nobody likes a log back, man. That's a log back. Oh god. Well, I pour this one girl. I'll tell a story.
But you're saying she doesn't have to be like porn
one
star.
One girl who you would think, God, on paper she is like the bee's knees. Oh no, she's super hot. She's a very successful chick. Log back. Oh god.
What does that mean? I don't know that term.
Just lay there.
Wait, if it wasn't you.
What was me? Yeah, no. I mean, like, I was there. I mean, I had sex with the chick, but she was.
But you think it wasn't your performance or your?
Oh no, dude, no. At least no. I mean, she wanted more, so I didn't think it was
That's so interesting.
Yeah, it was.
She needs to come see me. God, I can help this woman.
And you would, I would think on paper she looks great.
Well, you know,
she
when that happens,
she needs a little coaching in the sack. But it's probably been a while.
Sometimes when that happens, I mean, look, I've worked with so many women, and I don't want to always be saying the same thing, but there is so much trauma, and women are like taught to brush under the table or to minimize things that happened. Lots of times when they that's a disconnect. They're literally disconnected from their bodies, disconnected from their pleasure. And so
Yeah, this
they
girl
cannot
she
connect with
emotionally
you.
wasn't ready to like, she was just looking for a fuck buddy. Girls that look just strictly for fuck buddies,
It's crazy.
emotionally
I don't
they're not really
understand
there.
that.
They're not really there.
Like, I just did sexting for the first time.
I know, you told me.
Like,
Yeah,
so I feel like I'm
awesome.
so naive sometimes because I'm like, well, everyone's been doing sexting. Everyone's been doing this. I was very nervous about it, and I was very proud of myself after I did it. I feel like I did a really good job. I feel like now my goal is to not start sexting every man I know because I'm so excited about my ability. But
Practice.
But I don't even know what my point was.
Going back
don't
to,
even know what my
we were
point
talking
was.
about,
Oh, you're saying women, like, these women are like sleeping with everybody. And that's just, I think that is such a trauma response and that's such a disconnect. Our sexuality
are the ones
is
that want
so
just like
sacred.
a fuck buddy. Yeah, they just want
Our
like a fuck
sexuality
buddy.
is so sacred and it's so healing, and we receive the other person's energy, both energetically and physically. So my friend Kristen, who was just here helping us set up, and I interviewed her last week, she does myofascial womb clearing for women. We really do store that energy. We do as women. So when you choose to like go and physically get penetrated by all these men, I think your soul is sort of slowly,
What would you say about them coming inside of you?
So I think there's a spiritual
I was
component
going
and
to
a
say, do you
physical
think
component.
there's a component
Yeah.
to that?
I think he's giving them his energy also.
Well,
so
because
if
when
you're not
men
choosing
have
well,
an orgasm, they produce 400 times more oxytocin than women. So the bonding hormone, right? That's why men feel most bonded during sex. That's why most men chase sex. So most of
women get bonded through oxytocin during sex. My understanding is men get bonded through vasopressin more, and they don't bond as much after sex, which is why they can pull away. Because, women, once they get penetrated, they're like, like they
depends
get really
on the chick,
clingy.
depends on the chick, depends
Yeah.
on the girl, depends on
You've
the
had
girl.
different.
Oh yeah,
The women
there's
I
different
work with,
experiences.
they usually get very much attached after penetration.
No, I've had like fuck buddies that we can just boom boom click it on, click it off type thing.
Would you say they're more in their masculine energy?
Oh yeah, for
Okay,
sure. That's
they
what I
are.
said. It just depends on who they are. Now,
And
as far
also,
as that
you're
goes.
10 years younger than me, so there's probably a generational difference. I think that, I don't know. I think, yeah. The whole fuck
I think
buddy
it
thing, I don't
depends.
understand at all.
The more girls in my DM are younger. I will
Yeah.
the girls that slide in my DMs range from age. Like, so that's why I was saying like
So
why
they're
I think
pursuing, they're very
the
chasey.
ones that are like 20. Oh yeah. I had one girl the other day ask me to spit pre-workout in her mouth. Sent me a direct message. She's
And
like, "Hey,
there's
can
our
you-
soundbite.
Did
you do it?
Did I do it? No, I
Does
didn't.
it turn you on, though?
Would I?
The
Fuck,
thought
I
of it
would have
turns
done
you
it.
on?
I would have done it. I thought it would have
trying
been
to
pretty
think
cool.
if I would like that.
I saw her in the
I mean,
gym and I was.
here's the thing. I always think, like, I feel like you might say, I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to do this. But the truth is, for the right man and the
You
right
will do a
oh,
lot of things.
Yes.
A girl will lick an asshole from fucking up, down, up, down. They will do it. They will do it for the right one.
Yeah, I'm on explicit. My
Okay.
category is explicit, so I'm okay.
Sorry.
I'm okay.
Okay, it's explicit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
But there you will. They'll do anything. They'll do all kinds of shit. Doesn't matter.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it is. And they have to want it, like, because, like, think about it from the world today, right, where it's texting, this, that, and the other. I could text you the exact same message, but that exact same message came from another man.
Very true.
How you responded to it.
100%.
How you going to respond to that?
So true. There's chemistry's real.
Right, yeah. If I know, boom, okay. Versus that to that, damn, nah. You know?
Okay, let's end on a super more elevated note.
More
although
a light note.
I'd much rather talk about sex. And it's good. It's good. Okay, let's see. We asked about testosterone, and this pause I'm going to edit out, so don't worry about it. What's your favorite thing about women when they're showing up authentic? We already talked about that. Mistakes women make when they're trying to attract or deepen a connection with a strong. Do we like that one? What mistakes do they make? Do you like that question? If you don't
Go
like
to
it,
that. Whatever one you like. What do you
well,
have to
no,
move
because I
for?
want does it resonate with you? What are some? Because I'll ask it again on.
If we talked about like mistakes.
Mistakes women make when trying to attract a strong masculine man or deepen a connection.
Don't
Are there,
be- no,
sound good?
No, it's fine. We can go into that.
Let's see. Let's see what else we got. If you like it, I'll ask it.
It's not bad. Just don't seem desperate.
Don't see.
Don't
Okay,
seem
so
desperate.
wait, hold on.
I hate desperate. Don't seem
You
desperate.
can't. Okay, so what mistakes? Here's what I'm asking: what mistakes do women make when they're trying to have a connection with a masculine man or deepen their connection in a relationship they already have.
Okay. So what mistakes do they make? Well, okay, foundation of trust, right? Okay, so if you don't trust one another, there can be an ask.
If he doesn't feel like she trusts him,
yep, or
mistake.
if she doesn't feel like she can trust him, then there can have grounds for there'll be a whirlwind of mistakes, right? I think and then that trust really comes down to anything, depending on, again, the situation and who the individual is, what they'll call as a mistake, right? How they choose to react to the mistake, right? You may make the mistake of like what I think, well, okay, no, actually, you know what? I'm going to pivot. I'm going to pivot.
I want you to talk about desperation because you said that.
I don't like desperate. Like, okay, oh my God,
trust,
if you're.
But we're talking about mistakes a woman makes. So one of the mistakes is he feels like she doesn't trust him.
Yeah, she doesn't feel.
And he's trustworthy. Assuming he's trustworthy.
Yeah, assuming he's trustworthy. Trust is a big thing and there. Like you have to have that. And then another thing or mistake that I would think a woman sometimes brings to the aspect is like, it's not you. Sometimes I think like when a masculine man comes in and he has a hard day, sometimes he just may be quiet and let him have that space for a second.
Peace you were talking about.
let him work through whatever that day might be. Just know it's not you.
100%.
Sometimes he just needs to take a second.
I believe men need a transition time.
No?
Do you think men need a transition time when they come home from work? Because I've studied this and I believe very much in the biological brain. For a man, he's been going all day. Yep. He needs an hour minimum transition time.
I think, and then if you're a father or a husband or a wife, I think it's important when you come home, you go straight to your wife before you talk to the kids. Make your wife, again, that's the first one. Then you can say hi to your kids after that, go take your shower, do whatever you need to do.
And they see that too.
But they see that. They see that, hey, and especially as like, one thing, if it brings you back mistakes, okay, if you're a parent, one thing my wife did that I hated this was if I'm trying to reprimand and I am in the presence of a father mode where I'm in a coaching mode, like it's not, I don't necessarily mean it like a scolding, but I'm like, hey, that's not acceptable in my house. Like, this is what goes down here. The tone of your voice that you're choosing to use is not acceptable to how I will have someone talk to me. If we're having a parenting moment, like something along the lines of that, don't undermine the other parent or tell the other parent like, oh, hey, be a little bit, do not let their kids see that.
So undermining would be a way she'd create disconnect. Yeah. So supporting, would
especially
you call that?
If you're a blended family, like when you get into that role, it's like, let the guy that you're going to blend your family with step into his role as dad, which is even really hard.
It's scary for
really hard.
Sometimes.
All right, I think it's a lot easier for men to let women step into that role of mom, just because they're, especially as like a dad. I know, like when I would have V help me with things with the kid, like I didn't want to potty train my little girl. Like for me, it was just like I just wanted her mom or V to help with that process because I just didn't feel. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna clean her up, fine, whatever.
I was so good at potty training.
But if you're gonna figure that out, like things like that, like I had to get comfortable with like letting Victoria do her hair, like letting do Bella's hair, because like I was like, no, I learned how to do her hair through YouTube. I'm gonna friggin' do her, like get her up for school, things like that, where the roles have to be played, like where dad role has to be played, let that role happen, and where mom role has to happen, let that happen. I think that's a mistake sometimes that people can bring.
Step on each other's toes and not support each other. So not supporting, really.
Not supporting, yeah.
Okay, well, and then
I got one more. I got one more that's
I really
a
want
big,
you to say desperation at one point.
We're going to go back to that.
We said that on the break.
There's one thing that is a big problem that I don't think that if you're going to have a problem with your husband, your boyfriend, whoever, right, and you guys are having a problem, and you're going to go have your girls and day or this, that, and the other, do not talk negative about your husband to your friends. Same thing. You should never talk negative about your wife to your friends. Those problems, you keep them at home. Because the minute you start bringing it to your circle, the people that care about you, they're going to see it differently than you. Because they're going to tell you, they want what's best for you. They want you to be happy. And you're telling them, this person is not making me so happy at the moment.
Well, and most people don't. Like they're using their own wounding, and women are the worst about this. Oh, he's such a jerk. Oh, all men are this, all men are that. I don't even hang out with those women.
And you have no clue. He could just been having a bad. It could have been a bad day. You don't know what she might have.
Most women don't understand men. I believe that very much so, also, which is why I'm so glad you're talking to these points. Most women don't understand they're different than women.
And when you're having those heated bad arguments, you want to tell me the easiest fix to have those heated bad? Get fucking naked and get in the bed, and then go talk about it.
And
all right?
yeah.
I guarantee the problem's going to end real quick. All right?
Yeah.
That's boom. End your argument that way. Trust me. It'll help you that way.
Okay, let me wrap it up. Gosh, there's so much I could talk to you about, but because you work with men and because I love the energy you bring and your masculine energy, which I call divine masculine, legacy king, if you could give advice to men struggling to find their strength, struggling with limiting beliefs, and trying to embody healthy masculinity, if you could give them advice, just a few tips, bam, 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 start here. Like, you're going to step into healthy masculinity, you're going to step away from any toxic ego stuff, and develop this inner strength.
Go to the gym.
Go to the gym.
The first and foremost thing that you should do. Go to the gym. I've never met somebody who feels bad when they come out of the gym.
So true.
It makes you feel like not that, or it takes away the idea of like, hey, I don't feel like a piece of shit. I did something hard today.
Yeah.
You're going to start developing discipline. Not only is that going to happen, but when you start working out, your body starts developing more testosterone, which will then help you cognitively. Stop eating like a kid. You're an adult. Don't eat like a child. That means going through fucking Burger King and Mickey D's and Chick-fil-A and all that bullshit processed stuff. You are a man. You're not 5. Eat like a man.
Yeah.
All right? Have faith. Okay? Have some type of faith. Okay? Put it on something. It doesn't have to necessarily, you can have faith in whatever. All right? You can have faith, this, that, and the other, and that doesn't necessarily mean religion. Okay? You can have your talks with God while driving in the freaking car.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a firm believer of study some type of faith. So when you do feel down and out, or you do have a day, you learn how to navigate that shit.
Choose something.
I'm a firm believer most men should do martial arts. You should get involved in some kind of martial art where there's some kind of idea where you have to do something that's hard that helps also with humility. Like martial
With
art.
other men?
Yeah,
Would you
with other
recommend
men.
they-
Yeah, with other men. Yeah.
Or
Like,
what do you think about the co-ed thing? I think men do well with that.
I don't think necessarily in that realm
Yeah.
that men and women should mix that.
I would agree.
From that realm, I think you need to let men go be men at that time and let them execute and be around other men that way and have that kind of energy that might be a little scary for a woman in some of those aspects because can be aggressive.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, men are stronger than women. Why can't we accept that? It's okay. It's okay.
That's it.
Physically.
That's it. That's just it. Yeah, I mean, like, it's just the chemical makeup, but letting them get that group out and knowing that, like, there's hard shit out there and you can be put into some hard situations, but you will be able to get through that, I think helps with martial arts. Goes right back into fitness. But I do think those are like 3 things that they really need to do. Now, cold plunges. Now, I don't like my nuts being cold, but for the idea mentally what that can do for you, from putting yourself into an uncomfortable situation and having to control and learn to control your mind, I would advocate for that. If you're somebody who has a problem where you can't be on task, where you have this issue where you just can't focus, or you just telling yourself the repeated story like poor pitiful me, go put yourself through some hard shit.
Yeah.
Go put yourself through some real hard shit, because I guarantee it's not that bad, and there's people that would pray for your problems.
Well, we didn't touch on this, and we're probably going to have to wrap up, but I think you have a client here.
We're good. He ain't here yet.
Oh, okay. So, we're still recording. We still have mic.
We hyped up.
Okay, so you had just said, go through some hard shit, like recommend them do difficult things, even if you can't create hardship in your life. Maybe you're a trust fund baby who just go to the cold plunge. That's creating some hardship that's going to make you stronger.
And I feel bad for those people, the ones that are trust fund
yeah.
babies. You rob them. If you meet most millionaires, I've trained billionaires, millionaires, you name it. Most of them come from dog shit.
Yeah.
They come from nothing. And you know what? When you rob a man of that, I think of that process, you take away part of his.
What was your biggest
masculinity.
hardships that you think you alchemized?
So-
because your service to others'
Yeah.
energy, you're all into health, you're into helping others, you're connected with women, you love the feminine, and so you probably weren't always like that, although it sounds like you had a supportive background.
I mean, when I was with the wrestling and all that, I was really well off. And then one day when I was 18, I thought it was a good idea to get a hotel for me, my girlfriend, and this one dude. We were going to go downtown. It was the 4th of July. I had $600 in my pocket. I went to the bathroom. I came back and drank a beer and ended up raped and thrown in a dumpster with nothing on, like left for dead. I was 18 years old and I spiraled out of control. Like, I didn't trust anyone. I hated women. It was my girlfriend that did it to me. Like, so my mother and my relationship suffered there. Like, I didn't want to talk to them. I abused drugs like crazy. I had a fucking horrible cocaine addiction by the age of like 23. And then I got into mixed martial arts. A buddy of mine was like, I was going to wrestle in college. I was a pretty good wrestler. I had the ability to wrestle in college at a pretty high level. And nobody
Did you drop out of college after that happened?
No. So then what happened was, I didn't do college. And then what happened was I saw the guy one day at a Taco Bell. He was in the car.
How many years later?
This was a couple months later. And
okay.
I had been drinking real heavily, and I went after him. I did. I went after him and I almost killed him. And I got charged. I ended up with a felony and ended up in jail.
Do you regret that?
In a sense, yeah, because it ruined my fucking, in a sense of like they judged you off of that in the world. Does it like make for a real hardship? Yeah. But I went through a program, was able to get it worked out. Like, now I can vote and things like that. Mm-hmm. But it was a bitch. Like, it ruined everything. I couldn't get a scholarship to wrestle. Like, it really fucked my life up for a minute. But
so that's the logical part of your brain.
And it took me out of talk about humility, right? Fucking humility. I mean, God, it fucking humbled me like crazy, dude. Like, just, you are not Mr. Badass Wrestler. You are nothing. I did not feel good about who I was as a human being until I got into, like, literally this dude, Chris Reed. Like, this dude you would never expect was like, hey, dude, I think you would be really good at this MMA thing. You should try it out. And I did. And I was just like, fuck it, I'll do it. And it was just, I had no idea what it was.
Was this in New Jersey?
This was actually here. This was in North Carolina. And I was like, okay. So I decided to try it and freaking fought a guy who had been doing it for a while and ended up, supposedly he was really good, but I lost the decision. I didn't get knocked out or anything. And I was like, okay, well, I really like this. I felt like a sense of freedom. Like, it was just like, I don't know, like, you could deal with, I could just like let everything go in there and like try to just, like, I knew what was coming at me, right? Like, it was like I could see my opponent in front of me and I could figure out what I needed to do. So I really like fell in love with the sport, and then like got into a gym, met a guy, his name was Brian, and he really like took me under his wing. And then
22, 23?
And then it really escalated, and then I ended up being one of the top amateurs to come out of North Carolina, and then got licensed, got a contract in Atlantic City, did a lot of fighting around the area, and then was able to, I was doing land development with a guy for a while. We were doing that, and then this buddy was like, hey, you want to do this gym? And sat down, and we're here.
This gym?
Yeah, this gym.
Okay. It's an amazing gym. And there's several of them.
There's over 250 sold.
Nice.
So we have 66 open.
Do you feel like if that hadn't happened to you, because I'm all about the alchemization, and I'm honestly not to, like, my favorite people in the world are people who've had horrible things happen, and they've taken those horrible things and they've like literally used it to alchemize, because I can only imagine, having gone through that, you have a level of empathy with a huge amount of the population who undergoes trauma and abuse, who's been through assault. Like, it can like ruin you for life, or it can actually open up your heart. It creates a crack, I guess, the crack where the light gets in, where now you can relate to like so many people who have gone through something.
You fall really deep into like the victim role, like as was part of the process. It was like, oh, poor me, and as a man, that don't work. Like,
I don't think it works for women either. So I encounter women, and when they're in victim pathology, I've been through a lot. I won't get into it now, but I've had some shit happen to me. And so I like to say, like, there's almost nothing you can tell me that I either haven't experienced, or a friend, someone close to me hasn't experienced or gone through. And I know that you're not a victim, and I know there's a way out. So when someone's stuck there, I really won't usually even work with them, because there's nothing you can do. If they're addicted to that victim mentality,
they're just going to keep going.
God has to step in, I believe. I believe it has to be so painful
And sometimes
Staying
it just,
there,
dude,
that-
sometimes it just takes rock bottom. But I
Rock
mean,
bottom.
like once you come back from like, I'm a firm believer of like, God will isolate a man. And when you get into a state of like isolation where it's just like, okay, I gotta figure my shit out. Like, and then you can really like, cause there's nobody else to talk to. Like you're not, when you go into that place of like where I need to like really fix who I am and just choose to like isolate. You don't take an influence from here. You don't take an influence from there. The only influence you're really getting is you and God. Like in that time frame.
Yeah, that's hard.
Like, and
Most people won't do that.
That is really hard. Like to be able to sit there and like accept and be like, hey, dude, like I just need like a sign to like, how can I get through this?
A
like,
sign.
Like,
and you always get that sign, don't you?
Yeah, if you
when
ask
you pray
for
like
it,
that, you get that
you will
sign.
get it, man. I am a firm believer in that. Like, because you will face your energy and you'll put your will towards it.
You'll always
If you're, I think he gives us freedom, man, to like do what we want. But like literally, you have a choice, and you have to live by that choice. And you can put that choice out there, like, and it's so quick to turn a negative to a positive, like so quick.
The grace is so easy to get, but you have to
done.
open. I mean, I say get on your knees on the floor, cry your eyes out, beg for mercy. That grace will come in. The signs come. Miracles will happen frequently within 24 hours. Very much so.
And it could, dude, and it could be like you're going through fucking hell, and it may feel like fucking the worst
you're suicidal.
shit fucking ever. But you know what? Most of the time, there's a blessing on that.
There
and
sure
it just
is.
takes one day, man.
Very
And
true.
sometimes that just pops off. You're just
And
like,
this is why
oh,
I
shit.
tell women and men also, men need their brotherhood, women need their sisterhood. Someone you can text or call and say, I forgot who I am, I forgot what's important, I'm at the bottom of the barrel today, like bottom of the deep depths of the murky water, help me. And you want that friend who sees you, knows you, is authentic and say, I got you. This is what you need
I'm
to
here
hear.
for you.
Yeah, tell me what's going on. Right. That's why you got to have those like-minded people
You gotta have
on the journey.
and I don't think you need many of them.
No.
But you gotta have.
There's a couple.
I do think like, dude, one homie that's just gonna be there for you, dude. Just like that's gonna, no matter what. I don't think that comes from like your brothers or this, that, and other. And I have somebody who's really close with my brothers. When I have a friend who I literally, that's the only person we talk about that I will confide any bullshit with.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to like real in life shit, is me and him, and he does the same with me. And
good.
we talk about it at a certain place, and when we leave that place, we don't talk about it anymore. Like that's just our.
You recommend that for men?
I do.
Listen,
yeah.
God will, if you want that, I mean,
Like, dude,
like,
most
if
men
a
don't need to
wants that,
sit in silence
he can
all
pray.
the time.
God will
need,
send you that
You need
person.
to isolate and figure out who the hell you are.
Yeah.
Like, because I do think, like, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Too many men
Go
through your life and, oh, poor, pitiful me. That is the worst way to go about life.
Yeah.
Like, be around a group of individuals who are like-minded like you, who you want to be around.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a firm believer in that. Like, if you want to be a millionaire, be around millionaires.
Yeah,
Huh?
that's
if you
true.
want to be a podcaster,
You are the product of the
be
5
around
people you're
podcasters.
closest with.
Be around them.
I tell my kids
you know?
that, too.
I mean, you will learn from those people. Same thing like I tell people when these kids come and work here or they come and take a job. Like when I said to somebody was, I'm going to the school of Roger Martin business. So I'm going to learn how this guy does everything, and I'm going to look at a school and I'm going to get paid to do it. Like, so I think that's a good way to advocate it in. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to school right now to learn this. I'm going to keep and take from it.
So would you say that having that horrible experience, would you say if you had never gone through that, would you say your life would be better, worse, the same? It's hard to say.
It's hard to say. Who knows what good? I mean,
Okay.
I would have thought whatever path was supposed to happen was going to happen. You know, I mean, I don't think, you know, and then throw a monkey wrench in there. You know, my daughter. I don't think I would have ever had Bella. You know,
she
if
needed
that
to
would have
come
never
here.
had coming. You know, I mean, boom, that was a one night fucking bam.
Okay.
Fucking bam, kid
All right.
on the way. But we have a good relationship, me and her mom. We get along really well. We do.
Okay. Very good. All right. Any daily or weekly prep? Okay. So this is good for you. Any daily or weekly practices you have that keep you grounded in alignment? I mean, do you have like a regular schedule practices of mindset, meditation, physical health, anything that you would?
Well, what I think is like I do think you should have discipline, especially if we're going to delay it to men, women. You have to. I think discipline goes well on both ends.
Yeah.
So having a routine helps keep you stay disciplined. So of course I go to the gym. Gym is always on my agenda. Now, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing that I like to do, I will have a cup of coffee, and I will sit and just pray for 30 minutes. Not necessarily even pray, but just, I'm going to sit and have my talks with God there. Now, I may have a smoke while I do it and just sit there, and me and him are going to talk for like 30 minutes.
Similar to my morning routine, by the way.
And when I get up, I get up at like 4, because you know what? Nobody's on social media.
That's early.
Nobody's on Facebook. Nobody's on this other shit. Nobody's doing anything. The world has kind of stopped. So I can really just be in tune for a second. I think like that's really important, dude. It sets the tone for your day, because I at least for me,
sets the tone. No,
because
I agree.
I'm communicating to myself. Okay, at this point, oh God, hey, you know, man, I'm just coming to that. I'm like, man, yesterday was, you know, I didn't think that was going to happen, but it did. You know, but this is kind of weighing on me today. You know, like give me a little thing to let me know that I'm gonna be okay. Or hey, that's just where I take your time. I find it there in the morning.
I do the same thing. I get up.
When it's no lights, maybe boom, and that's it. And just have my talk.
Well, yeah, we're very much aligned on that. So I have a day mindset planner. I'll pray. I'll decide how I want to show up in the day. Yeah. I'll have my nice coffee. Sometimes I have to smoke. You know, my hand rolls.
I smoke a joint, man, every morning.
Well, I don't smoke joint. Yeah. I smoke like the hand rolled tobacco with lavender, and but it's such a nice, peaceful time. And it does change the way the day goes.
Yeah,
100%.
Wholeheartedly.
I love that. Thank you so much. I think we're finished. Anything else you want to share? Do you have any programs coming up or anything you want to promote? And where can people find you if they want to connect with you more?
Yeah, guys, if you want to connect with me, just feel free. You can follow me. It's at Coach Debo. It's on Instagram. Feel free. It's got my links in there. You can shoot me an email, give me a phone call, shoot in the DMs. Anything from fitness to relationships, advice that I can give, help with men who are out there struggling, who just want to figure out how to align and how to get into a sense of like disciplined routines that will help you evaluate and keep you growing as a man. Holler at me. I'd be more than happy to help y'all out.
Because you're talking about the whole thing, your physical health with them and
mental,
coaching.
Spiritual, supplements to take, things that you can do. Like, I mean,
because you know some things about raising testosterone through supplements,
natural
supplements.
Like, first and foremost, dude, go to the gym, stop eating like a child, all right, and then get your blood work done, and we can talk. That's really so it. I don't know where we're at.
So IG is the best way?
IG is the best way. Just hit me up on IG.
Awesome.
I'm on there. All right, Dorothy, thank you.
So much.
Oh, my God.
I am so
sweetheart, that was great. Good work. Good. All right, that went well.
Yes. Let me close up.
Hope you enjoyed today's episode. You can find me, follow me, and message me, Dorothy Diana, on Facebook or Instagram. Be sure to check out private and group somatic sensual feminine movement classes for healing or coaching opportunities over at radiantfemininelife.com. And don't forget to grab my books available on Amazon, 14 Days to Magnetic Feminine Radiance and Unleash Your Radiance, Top 3 Myths About Feminine Energy for Women Over 40. I would love to hear from you. Stay radiant and keep embracing your authentic self.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you recording? Okay. Thank you.
Boom.
Thank you, love. We love you. Bye.
See you, honey.
See ya. I've never done an intro on video. Let me think. That's okay, because we can always edit it.
Go for it.